The House at Hollow's End, a horror story. The real estate agent had called it charming. She had used that word 3 times during the walkthrough, each time with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Charming, as if the word were a spell meant to ward off the obvious, that the house at 14 Hollows End Road sat close enough to Graymoor Cemetery that you could read the headstones from the kitchen window. Maya Voss had bought it anyway. She was practical, she told herself. 34, recently divorced, a high school literature teacher with a modest salary and a need for something that was hers. The house was Victorian, 3 stories, with dark wood paneling and a wraparound porch that groaned pleasantly underfoot. The price was absurd, far below market, even for a small town like Dunhill. The cemetery next door was a nuisance, not a threat. Dead people didn't bother her. It was the living ones who had broken her heart. She moved in on a Saturday in late October, which, in retrospect, she would later understand as her first mistake. The first night she slept deeply and without dreams, the exhausted, merciless sleep of someone who had spent 14 hours carrying boxes. She woke before sunrise, disoriented, the ceiling above her unfamiliar. Through the bedroom window, fog had settled over Graymoor like a pale blanket drawn over something sleeping. The headstones rose through it, gray and patient, and for a moment Maya felt a strange vertigo, as if she were the one who was new to this neighborhood. As if the cemetery had been here long before her and would be here long after. She made coffee and told herself it was beautiful in its way. By the third night, she noticed the gate. It was an old iron gate that separated her backyard from the cemetery's eastern wall, a narrow thing, barely 4 feet wide, rusted to the color of dried blood. She hadn't seen it during the walk-through. A tangle of overgrown ivy had swallowed most of it. She discovered it when she stepped outside to take out the garbage and her flashlight found the iron bars gleaming behind the leaves. She pulled the ivy back. The gate was unlocked. It swung open with a sound like a quiet exhalation. Maya closed it, went back inside, and locked her back door for the first time since moving in. It was her neighbor, old Mr. Fendrick, from across the road, who told her about the Marlowe family. He came over with a pie, blueberry still warm, and an expression that struggled between kindness and something else. Warning, maybe. He sat at her kitchen table and looked at the window that faced the cemetery, and he said carefully, "You know the family that lived here before you?" She didn't. The agent had been vague about that. "Marlowe's," he said. "Been here 40 years. Gerald and Susan and their boy, Daniel." He set his fork down. "Daniel was about 8 when it started. He used to play near that gate. You found the gate?" She nodded. "Susan asked Gerald to weld it shut. He never got around to it." He paused. "Daniel said he had a friend, a boy his age who lived on the other side of the fence, used to come through at night to play." Maya waited. "There was no boy," Fendrick said. "I mean, there was a grave, child's grave, near that east wall. James Holler died 1943, age 8. He looked at her steadily. Daniel knew things about James, his favorite color, the name of his dog, the song his mother used to sing him, things you couldn't know, things nobody living knew. "What happened?" Maya asked, though her throat felt suddenly narrow. "The Marlowes left in 2019, in the middle of the night. Gerald had a breakdown, I heard. Couldn't stop talking about sounds in the walls. Daniel, by then a teenager, refused to speak at all. Just sat and stared." Fendrick stood, collected his hat. "Susan called me before they drove away. She said the house wants to be close to them. The dead, I mean. She said it was built that way, built to be a door." He glanced at the window, at the fog-blurred stones. "I'd weld that gate shut if I were you. First thing tomorrow." Maya thanked him for the pie. She didn't sleep that night. The sounds began in the second week. They were subtle at first, the kind of thing a sensible person could dismiss. Footsteps on the porch at 2 a.m., but when she turned on the light, nothing. A smell that drifted through the house before dawn, damp earth and something faintly sweet, like flowers left too long in stale water. The faucet in the upstairs bathroom running on its own, cold water, always cold, always at the same hour. But it was the mirror that frightened her most. It was an old mirror in the hallway, floor length, with a tarnished silver frame carved with vines and small birds. She had kept it because it was beautiful. One evening, returning from school with a bag full of ungraded essays, she glanced at it as she passed and stopped. The reflection was wrong, not dramatically wrong, not the stuff of C.